Hi, I'm Martin Butler, and as you know, since 2005 my wife and myself have been running our own t-shirt printing business from home using our little home office equipment which we've got set up here. Now, I get loads and loads of comments and emails sent to me asking me what equipment I use, what materials I use, where do I get my stuff from suppliers and all that. Now, I get questions from literally all over the world. I'm in the UK, as you know. You've all got suppliers in your countries, for example, America or Canada or even Australia. We've had people do the course from buy my tutorial DVD from these countries. And a lot of people, when they're starting off, look around the internet for information on how to start a t-shirt printing business. A lot of people are feeding out information that transfers are not really professional and not really the way to go forward. Well, I have to disagree with that, because I've been running the transfer printing business from home using my home printer to print the transfers onto the t-shirts using the heat press, as you can see, which I've got here. The main piece of kit you need is your heat press, the industry standard one, or there's plenty out there. You're going to be buying a heat press which is going to be your main piece of equipment. It's got to have certain criteria. The main criteria is that this heat plate, which heats up, needs to have constant elements going all the way through it, otherwise you're going to get cold spots on your heat plate, and that will in turn means that when you're pressing your t-shirts you're not going to get the t-shirt transfers to stick properly, and as you peel the transfer paper off you will have problems with the transfers sticking, and also vinyls as well. If you're applying vinyls with an inferior heat press, you're going to get the same things towards the edges. You're going to get the vinyls lifting and not adhering to the actual garments properly. So this is number one. Get yourself an industry standard heat press. You may be able to find one on eBay, but don't go for these ones that you find on eBay where they've got multi-use ones, where you've got a heat press which turns into a cap press, which turns into something else, which turns into something else. They are going to be wasting your time and wasting your money, so don't even bother with them ones. That's my recommendation if you're looking to buy or to get into the game with entry-level equipment which isn't really up to the job. So don't even go down that road with that. Now, the other big thing which is a problem is people wanting to know what transfer papers to use. There's a lot of bad press about transfer papers, but over the last 5 to 6 years, transfer papers have come on leaps and bounds. And also with vinyls as well. I get a lot of people saying what vinyl should I use as well. Well, I'm going to give you a few examples of buying the right transfer paper and buying the wrong transfer paper. Now, I've got a few examples here. These are just test t-shirts which I've done. You might see a couple of these in previous tutorials or videos which I've done. So let me just show you these. Right, well, here is a paper which I used for a test printing. And this is one of those self-weeding papers. Now, I don't know whether you can see there, but it's all it's not taken in places, as you can see. These were heated up to the correct temperature, so we had the right heat press, but we had the wrong type of paper, and that was the sort of effect we got. Not only that, it left I don't know if you can see, there's a residue around the page there. Look, that was one of those what they call self-weeding papers, which you don't have to cut around the image. You just print it on the image, lay the paper on top of the garment, and it's supposed to just come off where the image is. Well, it did in places, well, as you can see there, but as you look onto the outside of the garment there, you can see the sticky residue which is still left on the page there. So that is a wrong paper to use. Now, I get a lot of people also ask me if they can combine vinyls with dark transfer papers for dark t-shirts. Now, this is a classic example of that. This is one of the patterns which we use on a constant basis. Now, what we basically do is we have this image which is the eat, sleep, and this box we leave empty, and that writing underneath we leave empty. So what we basically do is that we find different niches. Let's say, for example, we wanted to produce a rock climbing t-shirt. That would be the same, that would be the same, and in there we would put an image of a rock climber and put the words rock climber underneath there. So that is a generic t-shirt for a black t-shirt using vinyl. This is vinyl, but that image in the middle there is a transfer paper. So all we would do, we would have like an A4 sheet of transfer paper, and we'd print this image on to fill up the transfer paper, maybe get about 6 or 7 or 8 of them images on one transfer paper, so that when we go to press this t-shirt, we've just cut the graphics out on our vinyl cutter, just with that image, and then we would plonk that image on there, but also obviously do that in the vinyl cutter as well, and just change the words there for whatever you want to use it for. So that is a combination of vinyl on a black t-shirt, just normal standard white vinyl this is. Now people keep asking me what make do you use and where do you get it from, what brand is it and all that. This is just a basic white standard vinyl, and it presses at 150 degrees for 15 seconds. So providing you go to a reputable supplier, someone who deals with this sort of transfer vinyls or whatever, and just ask them, say what is the best standard vinyl you've got. So you haven't got to have a brand name or whatever, because these are 9 times out of 10 they're just imported, and people who own transfer shops or deal in this sort of stuff, they normally basically just buy it and then brand it to their own name because it's just a generic product. But they will be able to give you advice on a decent vinyl, and as I say, you won't get that sort of information on eBay, so it's better to speak to the person. If you want to go into vinyl as well, just ask the person selling the stuff, phone them up, make contact with them, say what is the best white or plain vinyl you recommend, and they will give you that. As far as the transfer papers are concerned, again, this t-shirt has been through the wash many times, and as you can see, the colours are still vibrant there. There's no sign of any crack in there at all. So that is a combination of vinyl and a transfer paper. Now other things we've done as well, as you can probably see on the sleeve of this item here, we've got again 2 different types of vinyl. Let's just lay it out flat. Now again, this is 2 different types of vinyl here. We've got what they call a puff vinyl around the edge there, and in the middle you've got what they call a flock. It's like a velvety vinyl. I'll try and get nearer to that. I don't know if you can actually see, but let's try and get it nearer. You might be able to see that the surface of the lettering is actually raised. I don't know if you can see that. It actually gives a textured finish, and that, as I say, is just a vinyl which is called a flock vinyl, all cut on the same cutter. But it just shows you that you don't just have to have a plain white vinyl like this one here, for example, which is literally just a plain white vinyl there. Again, these are speciality vinyls, but again, they can do the job to make a nice interesting motif, and that is a raised actual item, so you could use that possibly on polo shirts. Moving on to another test vinyl which we've done. Again, this is a football logo, which is just cut out on the craft cutter again, whether it be a craft robo or silhouette cameo or whatever other cutter you may have. Again, it's the puff vinyl, so it's actually raised. Again, this has been through the washing machine many times, and it's a nice effect where it's a textured finish as well, so that is that as well. Now again, this was just done as a test with different vinyls on vinyls. I get asked this question all the time. A rule of the thumb is, if you've got a cold peel vinyl, you put a cold peel vinyl on top of it. If you tend to mix them, you can have problems, so it's just to be aware. But again, if in doubt, if you want to put layers on top of, if you want to put vinyls on top of another vinyl, ask the supplier which they would recommend, because they probably do vary. So that's just another thing to look out for. So again, that is just another vinyl to show you that you can print vinyl on vinyl. If I turn this over, again, another version of that. Again, 3 coloured vinyls here. We've got a single stripe which was printed out on one. We had a white stripe, just a plain white stripe there, and then on top of that we put this black motif to replicate a tank stripe on a motorcycle. So again, this isn't for sale, this item, it's another test item we like to play about and just to see what we can actually do. So that is what we achieved there. Again, layering. Now again, this is another white t-shirt. Now these are the transfers that we use all the time. I'm going to try and get as near as I can for you. Let's just have a look around this image. This again is another test image. I'm sure you can see that the colours are nice and vivid. There's no sort of residue around the edges there. I'll try and go right the way around, as you can see. Nice crisp image. These do stretch as well, as you can probably see there. Let's get you straight to print. They do give these white ones. The black ones don't tend to give as much, but these do give, as you can see there. And these are, as I say, transfers. You get full colour. You can mix, obviously it don't matter how many colours are in this. These are printed on my normal household printer. At the time of me doing this video, I'm using an Epsom 1500W with dye inks. So at the end of the day, you don't have any complicated ink setups or whatever. I use a bulk ink system, but this is basically just standard inks using the special transfer papers that we use, and bearing in mind we've used these papers now since 2005 and we have never changed once we found these papers. These papers are fantastic. They've got very good longevity. You've heard plenty of people saying, oh, I've heard people say actually that these papers, they've used these papers and they've had problems with it peeling and still and stuff like that. The problem isn't the papers, the problem is they haven't got a decent heat press, because they haven't got heat constant heat throughout their heat press. So, but they think, because it's a transfer, they've had the problems with it before. No, not the case. This has been the problem, but they obviously don't know that. I know this from experience, that you get cold spots with cheap heat presses, and you get, even when I first had these papers, I had the old heat press I had many years ago, and even these wouldn't adhere. I was told that these were the ones to use. I tried them out again and I thought, well, there must be something wrong, and then I came to the conclusion of checking my heat press out like I've showed you in my other videos. The temperature wasn't constant. As soon as I got the industry standard heat press, which is the one I've got here now, problem solved, never look back. So this is what I promote as a simple way to get started in the t-shirt transfer printing business, or even in the t-shirt printing business. Bearing in mind there's screen printing, there's plastisol inks transfers, which you have to buy from another supplier by sending them the graphics and they create frames. That's a very dear way. You can print one of these t-shirts one at a time. There's no special setup needed apart from the artwork created on either Photoshop, or you've paid someone to do it yourself. So just creating the graphics is very simple, which you can see how to do that in my t-shirt transfer printing DVD, which there's a link in the description to buy that if you're interested at all. So transfer printing is possibly the easiest way to get going, and also using vinyls once you've got the correct equipment, which is the cutter, which I'm now using the Cameo Silhouette cutter from Graphtec. There's many different types out there, but that's the one I use, and that's the one I obviously promote because I've used it faultlessly, the Cameo, the Graphtec range. So we have had GX24 professional cutters. Certain things that we found with the GX24 is that you can't cut below a certain size of image of cuts for vinyl, because it's got a magic eye, it can't see below a certain amount, maybe a square like that, but you can do all them little cuts on the Graphtec Craft Robo or the Cameo Silhouette. So there you go. Printing these things is a simple little home business which you can do from home. Anyone can do this. I wasn't an expert, I didn't have no knowledge in this industry whatsoever. As you can see, many different things you can do. This is vinyl again, by the way. I just created that that image in desktop package software. I think it was Adobe Photoshop, as you can probably see there, and just put a phrase on it. Simple images you can create yourself. If you're one for liking slogans and stuff, create slogans, advertise them locally on Facebook. It's very simple to do. Get the wrong equipment and take the wrong advice from people, all broken, and you can't actually use these images to print professionally, so you can't sell them professionally. There you go. That is my transfer printing business. As you can probably see there, a lovely quality, lovely print, no residue, and these actually get better with age as well. So there you go. Well, if you like my video, do please rate, comment and subscribe. Keep watching, plenty more to come. We'll be opening up our mug printing business very shortly. In other words, we've got a tutorial DVD which we produced on that one, so I'll be showing you more DVDs or more tutorials on creating our little mug business, which again we've run from 2005 very successfully. Okay, thanks very much. See you again shortly. Bye bye now.